Hi, I'm back with the tutorial on how I do my makeup for most of my looks. Obviously this is gonna be different for each character, but this is just how I did it for a more natural look. So, to start off, I just used some concealer to cover up my spots. Sorry about my eyes, by the way. I put in contacts and my eyes did not agree that morning, but by the end they look better. So, I swear I'm fine. It's just they look a little bit red. But yeah, then I kind of lightly pat them with my beauty blender, and then I go over with my foundation, and I really like L'Oreal's Infallible Pro Glow. It just works really good for me, and it don't break out as much as other makeups. I also like to wet my beauty blender a little bit to make sure it's not absorbing the makeup as much, and it goes on really smoothly. I also make sure to get the neck a little bit, just so there's not like a difference in color if my skin isn't the perfect match for the foundation. I then go in with a little bit of powder. I just use this Wet n Wild powder from the Dollar Tree, and I just hit up the areas where I get the most grease, so around my nose, on my eyelids, and a little bit on my forehead. As I said, my contacts are not agreeing with me today. Then I go in with some contour. I like NYX's just powder contour palette. I use the lighter shade. It looks a little heavy-handed, I know, but we're gonna make sure to blend that out in a few minutes with some powder. So I just hit up the jawline. If I feel like I'm going for a more tan look, I'll go ahead and hit up the blush area around my eyes very lightly. Then I go in with my Dollar Tree blush as well as a liquid blush. That one, I forget the brand, but it's just a Korean brand. And I go in and I hit up that same area around my eyes as well as the top of my nose. I know it looks crazy, but I'm about to blend it out with a brush. Then I like to set it with a little bit of powder blush, just to like brighten it up. I know it's gonna look crazy, but once we add powder on top of all of this, it's gonna tone it down a lot. And also for cameras, that also need to go a little bit harsher than everyday makeup. Yeah. And as you can see here now, I'm just going with lots of powder. I get really greasy skin, so for me, I use a lot of powder. Obviously, if you have drier skin, you wouldn't need to use as much, but otherwise the makeup will just melt off my face if I don't do that. For the eyebrows, I like using Milani brow gel, and I just use their little angled brush and spoolie that it comes with. I focus more on the tails of the eyebrows and kind of just fade it to the front because I don't want it to look too blocky. And I like blend it out with the spoolie. And then I just kind of go until each eyebrow is symmetrical. This makeup look is gonna be used for a Spider-Man look, so you get to look forward to that next month. So I'm super excited to share that with you guys. Then I go in with a little bit of a brown powder just at the very ends, and an angled brush, just to kind of set it and then also define it a little bit, because I've noticed in cameras eyebrows tend to get kind of washed out if it's just the gel. Then I use NYX Control Freak, or just really honestly any gel, to keep those hairs in place. I actually just refill it with Got To Be Glued hair gel. I haven't bought NYX Control Freak in a hot minute. I like to use the NYX Modern Dreamer palette. It just has lots of colors and I really like the pigmentation. Today I'm going to go for a more orangey look with this like orange color on the basically outside and crease. I'm going to go in with a fluffy brush. I like the orangey colors because it makes my eyes pop more than like a neutral color. So obviously it would just depend on your eye color and everything. So choose what you like. Then I go in with a little bit of gold on the inner corners and a flat brush to really pack it on. This just kind of adds a little bit of highlighter essentially. It's nothing like major. Then in the crease, I'm going to go in with a darker brown color just to define it all. And then I go in with that brown on the bottom with like an angled fine brush. The same one I actually used for my eyebrow, since it's similar colors and everything. Don't poke yourself in the eye like I did. Next up is the eyeliner. I love the NYX Epic Ink Liner. I just go in usually, and it obviously depends on your eye shape, but I just use a very simple winged liner, and then I end up using kind of the TikTok trend where you connect it into your crease. You'll see in just a minute. I like drawing them on at the same time, at least the very beginning, to see if I can get them as symmetrical as possible. I failed, of course, and I end up having to like redo it several times because I'm not the best at eyeliner. It takes a lot of practice. But yeah. This probably honestly takes the longest. Just because I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to this kind of thing. I then also like to go into the inner corner, make a little tiny triangle. This kind of just gives my eyes a little bit more of definition, since I do have very round eyes. And then I go on the underneath and kind of just add a little bit on the bottom. As you can see here, I decided to go into the crease with that like effect because I actually messed up and I had to make the liner bigger than I wanted to. But this is just a really simple thing. You just find your crease and add a little bit of liner going into it, as you can see here. And yeah, I just like the way it looks. It helps with the hooded eye look and making it not look as flat. Then I like using Miss Little false eyelashes. I got them at a flea market from this vendor. I don't know if they have an online website or anything, but honestly any false eyelashes that work for you is good. I always cut them to size, so just remember to do that. Then I put some of the glue on it, and then while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and just hit up my eyes with some Dollar Tree mascara, also from Wet n Wild, I believe. Once they're dry, you want to make sure they're very dry, but not completely dried out. Honestly, that just takes practice on knowing when to put them on. Just go ahead and put them on. If you struggle with eyelashes, I recommend starting with half eyelashes. That's how I got into them, and then I slowly got them, like, went with longer and longer eyelashes until I got, like, nearly the full eye. If you need a little help putting them on, I recommend using some tweezers. Now for the freckles, I like taking a fluffy brush. This is the same contour brush as before. I get it wet and then shake off all the excess until they form, like, essentially the bristles form little spots. And then I dip them in a brown powder. You can either use the contour powder from before or eyeshadow. Then I go in and just stipple it onto my face. And I feel like this gives you a really natural freckle look. It would help if I'm not blocking my nose as I'm doing it. But I always like this technique because it just gives you a little bit more of a natural freckle look and it's not as harsh. And yeah. Then for a few of the individual freckles, I like to go in with just a bobby pin and the powder, the same one I used to be before, and just add a few, just so they're not all tiny little speckles. There's a little bit of variation in it. And then if you feel like the freckles are looking a little too harsh or unrealistic, I recommend just getting that beauty blender and tapping over it until you're happy with how it looks. And for the lips, I like going in with a brown eyeliner or lip liner. This I got from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm very cheap if you can't tell. And I go ahead and line my Cupid's bow and then kind of like transition it down into the sides of my lips. But I don't go all the way down. Do the same thing for my bottom lip. And then once that's done, I like going in with my NYX lipstick. It's like the matte lipstick. And I just really touch up the top to blend in that liner. I don't put it all over my lips. And then I go in with a clear gloss. I don't remember the brand, but this used to be clear. It is now pink because of how many times I've used this exact technique. And I just go over, blend everything together with that gloss, and that gives me really full lips while still looking pretty natural, I feel like. At least in cosplay standards. And yeah, that is the look. I'll show you a little close-up of my eyes in just a minute. And then my lips. But yeah, as you can see, it's not perfect. You can still see some of my acne, but this is how I do my makeup most of the time, just with different colors and everything. I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you next month.